Hey, welcome back. Um, so, yeah, I never plan these things, so I don't ever know what I'm gonna say. But today I was kind of planning, if I didn't have anything else to talk about, I was gonna talk about like religion or something. Um, I wasn't feeling super great today. And I don't want to say that it's Tinder related, but it kind of has to be because everything else is going pretty great for me. Like, the job and the apartment's good, and everything's kind of good. I guess I was thinking, like, I kind of did go out and do something that, like, I knew I would be bad at or whatever. Maybe I did it so I could have something to complain about, because I always have to, like, complain about something. But on the other side, it's like, well, everything is good right now, so I have an opportunity to push myself to do something hard. Because I'm not like, oh, my terrible job, and then I come home and nobody likes me on Tinder. Oh. So, yeah. The person from last week, I'm just not talking to them anymore. I won't get specific, but they stopped talking to me. I feel kind of embarrassed. I always say that, but like I do feel embarrassed whenever I talk about this stuff because I don't know, like I'm complaining about people not liking me on Tinder. I feel like I'm like a 13-year-old girl or something, and like I'm really hyper focused on this stuff. I guess it doesn't really bother me as much as it bothers a 13-year-old girl. But I do feel kind of like I never really, when I was a teenager, I never really experienced any of this stuff. I did close myself off to any stuff like this. Just went to school, I did my homework, I played soccer, that was it. So, I do feel like in a lot of ways I am kind of immature. And so I do feel kind of like a kid. And that's embarrassing because I'm a 28-year-old dude, and like there's people who are my age who have gone to war and come back and stuff, and it's not me. Why doesn't anybody like me on Tinder? I did this thing. I thought it would be funny. I did on this thing on Tinder. You can boost yourself for 30 minutes. It says like, oh, it's 8 times more views or something. And I just did that. So while I'm recording this, I boosted myself. So let's see if nobody liked me in like the past week. I don't know. I could tell myself like, oh, there's not that many people up here, but there's a lot of people. I was just watching, yeah, it's really embarrassing. I was just watching the Wonder Years. There's a new Wonder Years where it's like, instead of Fred Savage, it's like this African-American family in the 60s. And I like it. It's kind of fun to watch. The episode I just watched is like the kid's like 12 years old and he gets his first kiss or whatever. And I don't think I've ever explicitly said this, but you could probably tell. Like, I don't even want to, I don't know. I always am just kind of vague about it, like, oh, I never had a girlfriend or whatever, but you could take that as far as you, in your mind, I've never done any relationship stuff. So it is embarrassing. And I guess that's why I don't like talking about this whole thing. For some reason, I used to think it was kind of like cool or interesting. Like, oh, you never had a girlfriend? That's like interesting. It kind of is. Starting to feel like it's kind of lame. Wait a minute. I'm a LameBoy. I'm a LameBoy advanced. I can understand why I stayed away from this kind of thing, especially when I was younger, because it is like you open yourself up to feeling things that maybe you don't want to feel, like if you don't put yourself out there, you don't have to feel like you are weird or gross or bad or whatever. And then there's also, this is super embarrassing. I went to McDonald's for dinner today, and I also went last Friday. So last Friday was when I was talking to that girl on Tinder, and I remember going through the drive-thru, and I got her message, and it made me happy. So then this time, when I went through today, I was like kind of sad because I was like, oh, last week I got the message, and this week I don't. So you are just open. I don't know how I'm going to handle like an actual real interaction with a person, like a real connection, because it's going to be like too much, I feel like. Too many emotions. Well, if the kid from the Wonder Years can do it, then I can do it, right? How's my boosting going? It's horrible. That's so funny. I didn't get anything. Of course not. Of course not. Why would you get anything? Oh, wow. You want to talk about religion? The past couple weeks, or when I've been doing this, I've been kind of giving like major overviews of my life. So I did like therapy and I did anxiety. I was thinking about this week to do religion. I guess I can give like a little 10-minute spiel. Why not? While I wait for my boost to go. I'm not going to get anything. Of course not. Nobody likes my picture. I don't know. Look at this picture. Tell me what you think. I don't have any good pictures. I mentioned this before, but like these girls are lucky because they have these Instagrams and they have thousands of pictures to pick from. I've got like 4 pictures in the past 3 years that I can pick from. I did this one. Is this why nobody's... Of course, this is why nobody's liking me. I did the Star Fox one. I talked myself into it. Like, you have to put it because, like, you like it, and it's a personality thing. I don't know. See? It's not a bad picture. Me and Jackie. Those are, like, the only pictures I have. I have, like, 4 pictures. Wow. Nothing. Alright. Religion time. So, I wanted to kind of give an overview of my whole... I never really done this before. Like, all my religion... My experience with it, my whole life. My parents are super religious. They're Christians, but... Sometimes when you think, like, the more religious somebody is, the worse a person they are, because they're, like, super strict about the rules. And I feel like my parents, this kind of applies to everybody. Like, the older you get, the more religious you get. But my parents started off super religious, so then when they get older, they got even more religious. But just when I was a kid, went to church every Sunday. Everybody in my family is a Christian. My uncles, my aunts, grandparents... And they're all kind of super religious. So I'm a Christian. I like my parents, and I like my family, and they always treated me well. So Christianity is a good thing for me. It's like a good connection. A lot of people, I think, the problem they have is like, they grow up in a super strict house, and their parents are abusive, and they're religious, so they associate the abuse with the religion, and so they're like, I don't want to be a Christian because of all the bad memories I have when I was a kid, but I don't associate religion with anything bad for me, so I'm a Christian, and I'm going to be a Christian my whole life. I'll never not be, because it's like it's a strong bond to my family. Like, okay, we're all Christians, and we all are connected that way, and it's a nice connection. So that's why sometimes you'll hear me talk about Christianity, and I'll be like, oh, this is stupid, and I don't like this, and you're like, well, why are you even a Christian if you disagree with so many things? That's why. So I still go to church, and because that's part of it. Like, if you don't go to church every day, it kind of feels like, well, you're not really a Christian. But even though that's not true. Every week, ever since I was a kid, and I just had really good parents, so I didn't mind going to church more. Like, I didn't like doing anything. I didn't like going to school. I didn't like going to church, but like, my parents made it bearable or something. So I just went to church every week. Didn't really think about it too much. Like, oh, I'm a Christian, I just go. Do I believe in God or do I whatever? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I never thought about it too much. A couple years ago, I guess maybe when I was depressed, I was thinking about it more. Cause I remember thinking, like, meaning, right? Why am I here? What's my purpose? That's when you start to think about God more, and that's what happened to me. Does God exist? If he does, is it the Christian God? If so, then why did he put me here? What's my purpose? So I guess where I split from most Christians in America is I don't believe that the Bible was literally written by God. Christians don't believe that either, but they'll say, like, oh, it's a direct revelation, like people who wrote the Bible. It's God-breathed. That's what it says in the Bible. All scripture's God-breathed. Whatever that means. I do feel, I've been going to church my whole life, like the moral foundation for my life is Jesus and what he taught. So that's why I don't feel like part of my being is, like, I'm not really a Christian because I don't believe in Christianity. I believe what Jesus taught is a good moral foundation for your life. And that Jesus was God, obviously. It's pretty simple. Love is the most important thing. Everything you do has to come from love above everything else. Love your neighbor. Love your enemies. Be a peacemaker. Those are the most important things to me about Christianity. And I read through the Old Testament, and I talked about it before, and I didn't really like it. Maybe I could talk about that like a different week or something. I didn't feel like it had the same moral philosophy as the New Testament. But you've heard that before, like, oh, the Old Testament, God's meaner. But it really does come across that way, like, Moses just straight up kills hundreds of families for kind of not really anything, and God's just, like, okay with it. That bothers me. So that's why there's a lot of things about the Old Testament and the New Testament that I'm like, just use love as an overriding philosophy, where, like, if there seems to be a rule in the Old Testament or the New Testament that's like, for example, gay people aren't allowed to love each other. I know I've talked about it before, but if that doesn't, love, that's like a hierarchy of it. Love's at the top. So if you have all these rules at the bottom, but if some of them, you're applying them, that's not in love, then obviously you have to reinterpret or whatever. You don't have to look at it exactly how it is, because that's what the Pharisees did, and that's what Jesus hated so much. That's why I think they call it like, most Christians in America, they're like literalists, so they believe that everything in the Bible is literally God's truth, and it has to be interpreted like very strictly as rules. I feel like that kind of goes against what God taught. I mean, Jesus. Like, the example I always think about is how when you're reading through the Old Testament, it's one of the most important things that Moses says, that God says. Remember the Sabbath, keep it holy. And there are all these rules about how to keep the Sabbath holy. And it says, don't do any work on the Sabbath at all. No work at all. You're not allowed to do anything. It says that in the Old Testament. So the Pharisees are like, okay, we have to teach everybody, don't do anything. Otherwise, like, it's bad. And then Jesus comes along and he's like, obviously, if you're allowed to love on the Sabbath, so if loving somebody involves like, helping them move or taking them to go get groceries or something, then you're allowed to do that. And that's actually the moment when the Pharisees decided to kill Jesus. It says that, like, when he was teaching about the Sabbath, it says, and that's the moment the Pharisees were going to kill Jesus. So whenever I hear Christians talk about like, this verse in the Bible says this, so you can never do this ever, I'm like, you're a freaking Pharisee, brah. It's in the Bible, so as a Christian, I have to take it into account and to think it, but it doesn't make sense to me that because there's a verse in the Bible, it literally has to apply to everybody on earth exactly the same way. We're all different people, so it applies to us differently. We have to think about ourselves and how we love other people. If you're a Christian, God's going to help you figure that out. You pray and you think about it, and you don't have to feel bad about loving somebody, like giving them mercy, giving them grace, giving them a break. Like, okay, gay people, they just want to love each other. Just show them some compassion. Don't worry about following rules, because you hear people so conflicted, and it's like, it's so easy. The answer is so easy. Just love them. Let them love each other. The Christians, they're like, I don't wanna, but it says in the Bible that gay people can't be together, but like, I want them to be together, but it says in the Bible, so we have to follow the rules. It's like, no, I don't think that's right. And I don't really know what kind of religion I'm espousing here. I don't know what kind of Christianity this is. I've never found anything like this. Most of the churches I go to, they're like, okay, we believe that Scripture is God-breathed and it overrides everything. I've never been to a church where it's like, we need to constantly be thinking about what's right, what can we be doing in love, and maybe reinterpreting verses to not be so strict about things. So that's kind of my religion. I don't know what it is. If you know, let me know. I do feel like it's kind of a unique take on things, but I'm sure there is like, this is Jeffianism. There's so many different sects of Christianity. I'm sure there's something that's like, I was just reading online about Keswickianism, because that's the church I go to, is a Keswickian. That's it for religion. I can talk more about it next week if you want me to. I mean, I don't know. Vault, are you watching? What do you want me to talk about? You're really the only one who watches this, so that's cool, thanks. If you want me to talk about anything, what do you think about religion? I know you're kind of cool with my version of Christianity, even though you're not a Christian. So that makes me actually kind of happy. Like, oh, someone who's not a Christian can kind of get down with what I'm feeling and vibing on. So that's cool. Makes me happy. I feel like that's what a good Christian is supposed to be. Like, they're supposed to be able to connect with people who aren't Christians. You're not supposed to be just in this Christian bubble, which is what I feel like a lot of Americans, Christians, that's their problem, is like they stay in their Christian bubble. Well, Jesus didn't do that. So yeah, I guess I'm feeling okay. I'm gonna play Life is Strange 3. I just rented it. I didn't like the second one, but I liked the first one, and I think this one's gonna be good. So Vault, what are you playing? You like any games recently? I just started renting games, so I'm gonna play Life is Strange, and then I'm gonna play Metroid Dread, and then I'm gonna play Resident Evil 8, and then we'll see what else. I like renting games because if I paid those individually, it'd be like $200 or something, but otherwise I can do it with $15 a month. I do it for like 3 or 4 months, and then I stop. I like doing it that way. Because I only play the games once anyway, but that's too long. So, okay, update on Tinder. I mean, I would have heard it buzzing. Nothing. Oh wow, it's at times 10, and it's still nothing. Oh, it's... if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. Okay, I mean, okay. What are you gonna do, right? Nobody likes me. It's kind of funny. That was about a half an hour. Wow, I didn't expect that. Maybe I picked a bad time or something. Actually, you could tell yourself whatever you want to tell yourself, but people just don't like you. When you hide away, you can just look at yourself and be like, oh man, if I was out there, everybody would love me, but like, I just gotta be staying in here all the time, and I'm sad all the time. Once you put yourself out there, people don't like you. It's a feeling, it's an emotion of rejection that's not super great. But I'm fine. I'm a 28-year-old freaking grown adult. I gotta be okay with it. I am okay with it, but it's funny. It's very funny. People really... I just got this... Your boost was a success. Yeah, alright. Yeah, right. Get out of here. Your boost was a success. Boost again to get up. Boost again. For $7. Your boost was a success. Was it? No. Nobody liked me. A big success there. You stupid. Alright, here we go swiping again. Thanks if anybody's watching. Hopefully I wasn't too mopey or whatever, and I'll do this again next week. And thanks, and yeah, if you want to talk about anything, if anybody happens to be watching, let me know, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. 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 You win.